All NFL preseason games are over. Values have surfaced due to injuries, so we're ready to prepare a 2023 FanDuel Week 1 lineup, and it's coming up next. Hello, everyone. I'm Eric Lee.
And I'm Michael Wiley, and we're the Fantasy Football Consultants. Eric, as you mentioned, the season is here. I'm so excited. We're going to break down the FanDuel Week 1 slate. But real quick, before we do that, I want to just call out all the different things we've been doing. We've been really busy, and we wanted to make sure that folks could see some of those other videos that we have. They're down in the description. There's links to those videos. Check them out. Eric, should we go right into the studio and hit it?
Let's do it. Our Week 1 lineup. I would just say the game that I think that is by far the one we want to make sure we get exposure to is the Miami LA Charger game. It's by far the highest over-under. I think it's going to be a shootout. It's a relatively low spread. So, Michael, I am going to waste no time getting some exposure into that game. Let's get Austin Ekeler in our lineup. He's a cool $9,000. But super excited to get him in the lineup. And he's a dual threat running back. He is going to get you receptions. Now, it's a half PPR here on FanDuel, but still, that's super valuable. And he is the goal line back and should get a majority of the carries. Michael, what do you think with the start of Austin Ekeler in this lineup?
Well, as always at FanDuel, we like to start with running back, so we get a bell cow on there, someone who's got some high potential and a high floor. I really like this. I think the Kellen Moore addition is going to be big for Austin Ekeler. He's already talked a little bit about making sure he employs him. I think we're going to see those yards go up. Those touches will definitely not go down. I like what we're getting with the price tag. But Eric, we're going expensive right away. You can't go too expensive running backs. What do you got? What else you got for us?
Yeah, I think what we're seeing, Michael, in a situation where they set the salary like 3 to 4 weeks before the season. So values are definitely going to come up, and I can double dip in a value and take advantage of what's going on with the Indianapolis Colts. Jonathan Taylor has been put on the PUP list. He is completely out for this game. It gets worse. Zach Moss, their second string running back, is likely out with a bad wrist. That leaves all the way down to the third string running back for this game. It's Deion Jackson. It's a guy who has filled in the past. And he's quite the bargain here at only $5,600. We've got the Colts, who are at home, who play the Jacksonville Jaguars, whose defense last year was below average. I'll be kind. Was below average. I expect that this is going to be a sneaky, high-scoring game with that great Jacksonville offense, and the Colts are going to need to try to keep up. Your thoughts on Deion Jackson here? We can see that in a few of the games where he subbed in, he was okay.
Yeah, I mean, the Colts still have a pretty good offensive line. They need to run the ball. They like to get their running backs involved in the game, and Deion Jackson's just not going to have competition. So while I don't know that he has the same upside as someone like an Ekeler, with the price tag almost $3,500 cheaper, I really like it. But you mentioned double dipping. What's the double dipping you're talking about here?
Double dipping that I'm talking about is, okay, I know how much you sometimes get afraid of rookies, but let's get Anthony Richardson in the lineup. All right, how far do we have to go? So we can see how FanDuel values running quarterbacks. Hurts, Jackson, Fields. But Herbert, Lawrence, look how far we have to go. We have to go Russell Wilson, Carr, Brock Purdy, Matthew Stafford. Are you kidding me? At $6,700, that's a huge bargain to get Anthony Richardson. In case you missed his combine, this guy is extremely athletic, and he is going to run the ball. And that floor that he provides with his running game is essential here to return this $6,700 price. I know he's a raw rookie, but I feel good about getting him in our lineup for this price.
Yeah, I mean, let's call it what it is here. What you did with the running back pick, there's nobody really anywhere near Deion Jackson at the price tag wise in terms of capability this week. You're saving us money, so other things that we can do this week. But Anthony Richardson, yes, super stud athlete. I think his floor is actually as high as many of the other quarterbacks who are much higher in cost. So even though I think it's going to be a tough showing, there could be some turnovers. He's definitely going to be trying to come from behind here. I like his floor and I like his price tag. So I'm supportive because of what else we could do. So I'll let you say anything else you want to say. Well, yeah. So what does that allow us to do? Well, that allows me and us to put in the number one wide receiver, the first person in everyone's draft, almost in every draft across the board. The highest receiver in targets last year, the highest receiver in receptions last year, the highest receiver in yards receiving last year. That's Justin Jefferson. I think he's going to come out of the gates and have a great start to the season. Tampa Bay's defense, yes, it's strong historically against especially the run, but they haven't been great against wide receivers, even though it looks like they've been pretty good in the pass rank. Justin Jefferson, other than the last few games of the season, which some of that was just kind of shutting him down before playoffs, he just absolutely was a beast. His floor is high, his ceiling is massive. The reason why he's going number one in drafts will be shown this week one. The fact that we can get him in thanks to what we did with the Indianapolis game, I think is brilliant. So let's do it. What else can I say about Justin Jefferson?
Well, Michael, anytime you're in week one, you always have question marks about, well, what is it going to be like this year? You just don't have question marks with this guy. He is returning to the same team with the same coaching staff, with the same quarterback who clearly values him.
So we got Jefferson and we got Eckler, and arguably the best running back, arguably not hands down the best wide receiver. We're going to have to save some money like we did on the running back spot. Where do you want to go on the wide receiver spot to save us some money and hopefully not take us down too much in terms of potential?
Yeah, you guys are probably getting the idea because we had this long time before they set the salaries and a lot of news came out, is that we're going with the stars and scrubs lineup. Scrubs, not because that they're bad players, but because something has happened to make them more valuable. And we got to scroll down a long way, Michael, all the way down to $6,100 to get to Johan Dotson. Look, there's nothing wrong with this guy. He is a solid wide receiver number 2 on Washington, but it doesn't look like Terry McLaurin, their number 1 wide receiver, is going to be available for this game. So Dotson is going to move up to wide receiver 1. It's something we would like you guys to follow the news. There's no guarantee that McLaurin is out, but it looks like that is the way he is trending. And he has a dream matchup here, facing at home the Arizona Cardinals. Now, you may look at this and go, wow, the Cardinals were 24th against the pass that last year. They must not be very good. That ain't the half of it. This Cardinal team is a lot worse than the Cardinal team of last year. J.J. Watt is not on this team this year. Their defense is bad, and their offense without a quarterback is going to struggle. So really like the opportunity that Washington has here. And he is clearly going to be the number 1 target of Sam Howell.
Yeah, no, definitely. Just really superstar talent. The only reason his upside is limited is because of McLaurin during the regular season. Again, not during this game. And the quarterback situation, which we both like the upgrade to Howell. So I like this pick. I'm going to one up you and go with a very similar situation, who's even $200 cheaper down at Cortland Sutton. So if you saw, Cortland Sutton, he started the season without Jerry Jeudy last year, or part of the season was there without Jerry Jeudy last year, and didn't have the numbers that you would have expected out of somebody with Cortland Sutton's talent. But part of that was because the Denver's offense was really not performing. But look what Jerry Jeudy did the rest of the season when he was in there, and Russell Wilson was performing as he improved, as he really started to get a feel from the offense. And I think you're going to see that. And really what I'm doing here with Jerry Jeudy out, same situation as you mentioned with Dotson, and against really there's only 3 defenses that did better against wide receivers last year or did worse, than the Las Vegas Raiders. This is picking on my Raiders. I think Russell Wilson, with the new coach situation with Peyton, I think he's going to start much stronger. They're going to, let him come outside the pocket a little bit so he can perform, and that's just going to benefit Sutton. And again, what we're doing here is really taking advantage of the price tag. Eric?
Yeah, Michael, let me ask you a question as a big-time Raider fan. Did they do anything in the offseason to address this defense, specifically the pass defense? Do you expect it to be just about as bad as it was last year?
Not only do I expect it to be about as bad, I almost wonder if, a couple of games in, which doesn't account for this first game, if they're going to start going for that first draft pick. They really haven't shown a willingness to do what it takes. I can imagine that Devontae Adams is really frustrated with what happened this offseason. Same with Josh Jacobs. This defense is really very similar to what it was last year, at least in the defensive backfield. And that's just going to benefit Cortland Sutton and Russell Wilson this week 1.
So just one point about this specific game. If you have to have more salary relief, Michael and I are comfortable at $1,200 less in the same game is the wide receiver 2 on Denver. That's Marvin Mims. And he's at, I believe, 4,700. Got to go way down. But we had the money to pay up relative to Mims for Cortland Sutton when we really like that particular option. Just want to give you a pivot if you need it.
So, Tyler, we want to go the bargain route as well, and we want to pick on another defense. I know this one's now picking on your favorite team's defense. They were worst in the NFL last year against tight ends. I don't know that they've ever been great against tight ends, but the Rams have known how to pick on that situation. And, they were one of the few wins they had last year was against Seattle. And part of that was letting Tyler Higbee run strong against them. So I like Tyler Higbee this week, going against a team that was really bad against specifically tight ends. They weren't necessarily the worst pass defense last year, but they were the worst against tight ends. I think that bodes well for Tyler Higbee. So again, a really nice $5,300 price. We wanted to save for yet one more big star this week, which I'll let Eric talk about in just a minute. But here I'm picking on your Seahawks. Do you want to defend them a little bit, Eric?
No, I do not. I think that I'm gonna talk up the Seahawks. That I think that they're going to score some points and put the Rams in a situation where they have to play catch up. And look, I think the huge point for Tyler Higbee's favor here is that I don't believe Cooper Kupp's going to play for week 1. So there is a ton of targets that are up for grabs on this Ram team here in week 1. And I absolutely think Higbee is going to partially be the beneficiary of that, especially around the goal line. Kupp is such a goal line hog. And I think there's a trust factor with Stafford, with Higbee. And I really like this at a paltry $5,300 price.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the other tight ends that are kind of around that price tag, no one really excites as much, especially if you're trying to pick on a defense. You really got to pay a lot more to get more potential. And we want to do something a little bit different at the flex position. So, Eric, what do you got for us at the flex spot?
Yes, so you might say, how in the world could you have a star like Austin Eckler and a star like Justin Jefferson and fit another star? Well, that's the beauty of week 1. In our flex, we will add the third star to this team. Oh, man, the guy who led the NFL in carries last year, Derrick Henry. Look, usually, and again, he's playing in a dome, and you might go, "Oh, New Orleans, doesn't they have a tough defense?" Actually, they were below average against the rush, and for many years, Michael, we just keep saying, "Is Henry slowing down?" He's now 29. Is he slowing down? He hasn't shown signs of slowing down. And guess what? This is NFL DFS. We don't have to worry about him slowing down if he does later in the season. He's completely fresh for this opening game against the Tennessee Titans. And let me ask you this question, Michael, what do you think the effect of DeAndre Hopkins, a clear superstar, being added to this Titans team on Derrick Henry?
Yeah, not only does he spread the field, he also is just so good at winning battles off the line of scrimmage. I think that that's going to be huge for having to respect the pass, which you haven't historically had to do when you're playing the Tennessee Titans. So I see the offensive coordinator take advantage of that, which will help Derrick Henry, who we want to see get involved in the passing game as well.
All right, Michael. So we just made a quick change to make sure that Austin Ekeler, who plays in the afternoon, is in our flex spot. We have $3,400 for a defense. So let's look at what our options are. Let's try to predict where Michael is going to go here for our last pick.
Yeah, so I think this is an easy one. I mean, if anyone's thinking about picking the Texans or the Bucks this week, I'm not sure what you're thinking. And I would say the same with the Rams, who've historically had a good, strong defense. They're going into Seattle. It's going to be a rough for them. It's really that Dolphins-Chargers game that's worth looking at. And really, to be fair, there's not many teams right above who are interesting either. The fact that we get the Chargers in that $3,400 slot, I think that's the team to go with. I look for Kellen Moore and Justin Herbert and Austin Ekeler to come out strong against Miami. That Chargers defense has underperformed based on the talent that they have. I'm hopeful that bringing in Kellen Moore allows the coaches to focus a little more on the defensive side of the ball. So while it's a little bit tempting to think about Miami as historically a higher scoring defense, I think I play the matchup. I think the Chargers at home are the better matchup, and I'm thankful I have that extra $100. Eric, what do you want to add to that?
Yeah, I just think there's a misnomer in NFL DFS for people to think, oh no, I can't play a defense against a team that might score a lot of points on it. No, you get your points mostly not from holding the team down in points, but because of sacks and turnovers. And if you're lucky, return for a touchdown. I think this is going to be a shootout. I think you're going to see Miami throw the ball a lot. And all sacks, all interceptions, and most fumbles occur in the passing game. So I like the fact that they were right middle of the road in sacks per game last year, and actually really good in interceptions. They're favored. They're home. Wow, I like this for $3,400, Michael.
Yeah, I want to see Bosa and Mack be a little bit more, aggressive on the defensive line this year. So I really like this lineup, Eric. We're taking advantage of some bargains. This is the week to do it. You got to find some bargains so you can put in some upside superstars, and we did that. So,
all right, that's our cash lineup for FanDuel. We'll put on the screen our DraftKings final cash lineup when it's available, and another video we think you'll enjoy. Take care, everybody.